Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Familywood Podcast. This week's guest is Rochelle Davidson. We're so fortunate to have her here. Thanks for joining us, Rochelle. Really, really appreciate it. Um, I normally like to open up by letting you kind of open up and tell us a little bit about who you are and how your work has transitioned into the world of addiction. Maybe give us a background of yourself. Maybe give us a fun fact about yourself. Who are you, Rochelle?
Who am I? I know that's always such a question, right? And how much time do we have? Yeah, thank you for having me. It is an honor. It's a delight to be here. Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Rochelle Davidson. I come here in the context of I am a recovery coach. I'm a recovery coach trainer. I am myself a woman in long-term recovery. How I got into this area was I have been in the realm of coaching, professional coaching, for my entire career. I have a master's degree in applied behavioral sciences and was focusing the majority of my career in organizations and working with teams, working with leaders, looking at it like a systemic approach to having individuals thrive in the work that they do. My passion was around supporting people in loving what they do. That everyone is at work for at least 8 hours a day. And I had come across so many people who were barely surviving and just waiting to retirement. And I realized that there was something more to it than that. And that's what got me into coaching and working with organizations and teams. And then my
Full
own,
disclosure for the audience, that's how Rochelle and I initially connected, as she was my executive coach.
yeah.
I'll never forget the day. If anyone knows what this is, she did a 360 on me and had my peers at work give me a whole bunch of critical feedback. And Rochelle is a brave. My perspective is that Rochelle's very brave, intelligent, and very thoughtful.
Oh, thank you. And you were brave in being open to all of that. And I must just preface what you said or add to what you said. It wasn't all critical feedback. There was a lot of really positive, encouraging, information about the impact that you were having. Yeah. And my journey kind of pivoted. I still am an executive coach and work with teams and leaders. And a lot of my time now is spent in the realm of recovery coaching. And that was because of my own journey. And realizing that I had become addicted to alcohol and my own journey to recovery and thriving. And that led me to really wanting to express my purpose in supporting other people on their journeys. And so the bulk of my work now is working with individuals on their recovery journeys and training coaches to do the same, because it is a quickly expanding and growing area and part of someone's healthcare team on their journey to recovery and thriving.
And now you've evolved even more as you have. You've evolved into a recovery coach trainer.
Yeah, so I have the honor of working with an organization in White Rock called Still Here Recovery. And one of the ways in which they live into their purpose of building resilient lives is training people to become recovery coaches. Because it is such a need, because it is seen, because coaching in itself is based on the foundation that people are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. They don't need fixing. They need someone to walk beside them. They have the agency and the determination to make their own choices, and a recovery coach can be that person for them. So I get to develop people and support people on their paths to become recovery coaches.
So you've transitioned into this world of recovery coaching, albeit as a recovery coach or as a recovery coach trainer.
Mm-hmm.
What's that experience been like for you?
Ooh, um, extremely rewarding and validating. It's a way of me living into my purpose every single day of serving others and inspiring them to do what inspires them. Um, it's given me hope in the world, because I get to work with people every day who are really wanting to be their best selves and are seeking others to support them in that. And it's very hopeful work. I like to say that coaches are in the business of hope. And that's why I do this. It is about that. We're looking at, as a coach, I look at what's possible. I look at who the person is. I believe who they are fully, even when they don't believe it for themselves. It's not in a place of like pathology or what's wrong. It's in a place of possibility and creation, and what can be present. How can I get to work with people to help them remember who they are? And that's pretty amazing. I often come out of sessions and so I work from home, and I often come out of sessions and I open my door and my husband's like down in the kitchen and I'm like, I would do this for free, right? Because it's just so nourishing.
I love to see your passion, Rochelle.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So you talk about all those things, and then my curiosity leads me to wonder, how do family systems come into play in your work?
Yeah. I mean, so I work primarily with individuals who are working through their own experience and their own journeys, primarily with substances. And I coach the whole person, and the whole person involves the systems in which they are part of. So it includes their families, it includes their workplaces. And so the discussion, the goals, the work, it always involves those systems. So within the family, the work that I get to do with my clients often looks at what are the things that are taking place within the family that are supporting their recovery? What are the things that are taking place that are not supporting their recovery? What boundaries need to be put in place? What relationships need to be healed? Who needs to come alongside them in their recovery? Because I'm just one person and I'm not going to be part of their lives forever. So their family members are. So
I was reading an anecdote on Instagram. I asked ChatGPT to verify it with evidence. It came from a treatment center that posted, individuals who are entering recovery are 3 times more likely. 3 times, that's a big claim. 3 times more likely to be sober if they're involved in some kind of supportive recovery community, which could mean family, which could mean work, which could mean peers in recovery. Exactly kind of what you're talking about.
yeah, and I'm surprised it's not more, actually, because like addiction is just, it's isolating by nature. And that the anecdote that connection is the antidote to addiction, and I wholeheartedly believe that. And it's connecting with people who support you, who want the best in you, who see you, who are willing to walk beside you, whether that be family or friends or folks in your workplace.
And so, considering what Familywood does, working with the spouses and the parents and the adult children of those in recovery, uh, tell me about the importance of that work from your perspective as a recovery coach. Why is it important for those individuals in the person with addiction's lives to also get their own support?
Mm. Because sadly, addiction isn't a individual disorder or disease, however you wish to refer or to frame it. It is it involves and it impacts the entire family. So the healing involves, I would think, healing requires family participation, not only to be able to see what's happening for the person who is in recovery, but to be able to understand the impact it's having on them, the family member, what's going to be important for them to heal, what's going to be important for the family to be able to move together in recovery. Because I can say for myself, being someone in recovery, I can see now the impact it was having on my husband, and yet the attention was rarely put on him and what was truly going on for him, and the impact of him seeing me in my condition. the attention was usually on me. And in hindsight, and knowing what I know now, I would have liked to have seen that done differently, so that he was involved and his needs were considered. We were able to talk about it from a perspective of what's happening, what's going on, in the relationship, and for him because of it.
That's so brave of you to share. Thanks. Do you, we go way back. So you may or may not know this, Rochelle. Do you know the story of why I founded Familywood?
I do, but I would love for you to share it.
Yeah, so I have lots of family members who are mostly in addiction. A couple are in recovery, and that was my perspective. The attention and the resources always went to those individuals with the substance use challenges, and there was little to none resources or supports or expertise available to the impacted family members. And those family members need healing and relations support, but they're part of the family system. And when, as you said earlier, the family system, it's a family system challenge. It's not just an individual challenge. So if we're focusing on helping that individual recover, then we need to deal with the whole system. And gosh, do they need a place to go to do their healing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Rochelle. So we do a couple weekly recurring segments on the Familywood podcast. The first segment that we'll kind of slide into here is our weekly segment spotlighting an organization in and related to addiction. Given your background and who you're involved with, Rochelle, this week I chose to spotlight She Recovers, or the She Recovers Foundation.
Yeah.
I'll give a bit of an overview of who they are for the listeners. You obviously know more than I do. I won't pretend to be an expert of She Recovers. So if you can help me fill in the gaps.
For sure.
But from an overview, She Recovers is a nonprofit grassroots movement that supports women who are in or seeking recovery. What makes them unique is that it isn't just substance use. It's about recovery in general, which is so true and so needed. Whether it's addiction or trauma support, mental health challenges, even major life transitions. She Recovers guiding belief is simple but powerful. There are many pathways to recover, they believe, and all of them are worth honoring. For some, that might mean therapy or 12-step programs or recovery coaches like yourselves. For others, it could be yoga, providing free online support groups, local in-person meetups. I know they have a large online and in-person presence.
Huge.
Retreats, digital community connections. They're trying to approach it holistically. From what I understand, at the core, She Recovers is about healing in a community.
Yes.
Echoing what you said earlier, and it reminds us that we don't have to do the work alone. She Recovers is focused on women in recovery, and Familywood focuses on families, the spouses, parents, and adult children. But both of us recognize that recovery doesn't just happen in isolation. And by supporting everybody, the system, we increase the chance of real lasting healing. And that's at the heart of the work of She Recovers: community connection and resilience. What else do you know about She Recovers that you think would be worth the listeners knowing?
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is, you are right. The majority of women who are involved with She Recovers, and there's been like over 325,000 women that have been supported by this. 80% of that of the community are in recovery from some sort of substance use disorder. And like you said, the belief around She Recovers is that we are all in recovery from something at various stages in our life. And that can include recovery from other family members and their addiction, their substance use disorder. So we have the honor of being in community with women who are there specifically because their family members are going through addiction or may not be in recovery themselves, but they've come to She Recovers for community and belonging and healing because they are part of the system. And to be able to coexist in this community from two different perspectives, most of us being in, in the seat of we are in recovery from our own substance use disorder or our own, fill in the blank, and at the same time sitting beside, like in community with someone who is there because their family member is dealing with that. And it's an incredibly powerful experience to be able to sit with both those experiences and perspectives and to see and witness each other. It's really powerful.
And unique to bring it together. Like I think about Al-Anon and Alcoholics Anonymous, who coexist kind of independently of each other. Cool. I didn't know that She Recovers kind of brings it together.
Yeah, because we're all in recovery from something.
We sure are. We sure are. Thanks for sharing that, Rochelle.
Yeah. The other thing I would just mention around She Recovers is that, pardon me?
Go ahead.
The other thing that I would mention is that the goal of She Recovers is to provide the vast majority of their offerings free of charge so that it's accessible to everybody and anybody. So the twice daily gatherings on Zoom, sharing circles, She Recovers reads, She Recovers dance online and yoga online, and it's so much, and it's all free of charge. So,
and their weekly calendar gets posted on Instagram, and
yeah,
it's so impressive to me. I find it so impressive that it's just stacked with community events and ways that people can nurture their recovery. So cool. And what's your role? How are you involved in She Recovers?
I first got involved with She Recovers as someone new to recovery and I didn't have anyone in my life who was in recovery. I didn't know anybody, so it felt quite isolating, as we talked about earlier. Like it can really feel lonely. So I got involved with them as someone new in recovery, and very quickly went down the path of becoming a She Recovers designated coach, a She Recovers designated facilitator for the online gatherings. For a period of time, I was a paid member of their team. So I've been involved in many ways and still continue to be involved. I very much believe in what they are up to in reducing stigma and creating community and belonging and a safe place for women to land.
Safe is a good transition word that I was thinking about. I really like that it's a separate option for that men aren't part of, because we know that oftentimes women entering recovery, at least I think I know, I'm clearly not a woman, so I won't pretend to be one, but the need for some safety around men just knowing the traumas that have previously potentially happened. Georgia Strait Women's Center and Sunshine Coast Health Center, like same facilities-ish, like different facilities, same properties and stuff, but totally separated so that there's some safety to be found.
Yeah, just show up
in
as
such
yourself.
A vulnerable time too, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So our next weekly segment, Rochelle, we like to talk about a piece of media or a piece of literature related to addiction or related to family systems, something aligned with the Familywood podcast. I'll share a little bit of an overview about the publication that I chose this week, and then we can have some discussion around that and what you think is good about the study, what you think maybe needs some improvement, and how it relates to your work or your understanding of addiction and family support. This week I chose the Transformative Journey Through Supportive Group Participation: Narratives of the Wives of Individuals with Alcohol Use Disorder. This research focused on 36 women whose husbands struggled with alcohol use disorder. As a result of their husbands' addictions, these women reported enormous hardship, financial strain, verbal and physical abuse, social stigma, and a heavy sense of blame. Gosh, that blame is a theme. that keeps coming up in our podcast. Many felt trapped, unable to leave the marriage because of their children, cultural pressures, or lack of support. When they joined support groups, however, things began to shift. These spaces provided connection, emotional relief, and a chance to realize they weren't alone. Through sharing stories and learning from senior members, participants described finding peace of mind, self-worth, and even empowerment, with some going back to school, starting businesses, or becoming leaders in their communities. The groups didn't erase the pain, but they offered transformation, a path from isolation and despair towards resilience, healing, strength, and hope. This study underscores what we've talked about. Addiction doesn't just affect the person using substances, it ripples through the entire family system. And when family members get structured support, they not only heal themselves, but they change the trajectory of the entire system, the entire household. Just as these women found strength with their support groups, organizations like She Recovers and Familywood are helping build spaces where families and individuals entering recovery can process their pain, set boundaries, and recover together. I think it's ironic that we're talking about this kind of support structure, given we just had a conversation about the support structure and community that She Recovers has built. What did you think of the publication, Rochelle?
I was inspired and moved by the women who were part of the study. Just from the cultural requirements and how they got to be in their marriages in the first place. So just being transparent. This study is from India, and many of them were arranged marriages, so may not have felt a lot of choice to begin with, and many of them, the marriages were, alcohol was an issue before the marriages even started for many of them. So the cards were stacked against them, was my perception for many of them. And what I found so profound was the degree to which coming together in these support groups exponentially increased their feelings of empowerment and possibility, and moving away from a sense of being a victim to what can be done here, which I found, again, like very moving, very inspiring, and just very validating for the work that we do. Because
Against all the odds,
they
odds, pushed through.
Yeah, because they didn't feel alone, and they saw through the work of the group and through the support, saw that it didn't have to be that way, and that even if it was their perspective that changed and nothing else changed, that perspective taking was empowering and supported their own well-being. Which can change the trajectory. The husband can go to treatment, but when he gets out, and if nothing else is shifted in the system, then the odds of sustained recovery are much, much lower. Whereas if the spouse is also getting support and understanding, like, what's been happening here and what changes do we need to be made and what boundaries need to be set and what needs to shift, then the system holistically changes.
I appreciate you pointing out the context that these were 36 women in India. Given the cultural differences, how do you think that story relates to women in North America or Western culture?
I'm speaking completely anecdotally, and I'm not speaking from my directly or exclusively from my personal experience. But I think it speaks to a spouse can feel trapped and isolated and alone when their spouse is going through something like addiction, and and not seeing a way out. It's not so easy just to go, okay, I'm out of here. Even if the marriage wasn't arranged, and it's not so easy to say like I'm gone. For a number of reasons. One, they love the person. Two, like financially, three, kids. Like there's a number of reasons I would have like I'm going to stay here, but what needs to change in order to stay here? So I think regardless of where one is, located geographically, that would still be a challenge. And so empowering that person, the spouse or the kids, to be able to actively take part in the healing of the family, to go, hey, like this, what do we want? Like, what do we want this to be? How do we want to move forward? What would it feel like if we were, if we were working together? What are the non-negotiables? What needs to happen here so that everyone feels like they can be an active participant in it? I think that also takes some of the pressure off of the person in recovery to go, hey, it's all up to you, but because it isn't all up to that person. It is a systemic issue. It's like the idea around homeostasis, and like the family has been like one way of being, and someone going through addiction can come back in with some different ways of being, different behaviors, different thoughts, and different beliefs. But if nothing else has changed, then either that might get rejected, or they get frustrated and leave. The whole system needs to change. So empowering the rest of the system to go, hey, like, yeah, I have a say here.
Awesome. I appreciate that analogy. Well, thanks for joining us here today. For anyone who's listening, we'll be posting a link to the research that we were just covering. It's really, really powerful and certainly inspiring. I saw your emotion there, Rochelle. You seem to be really connected to their bravery. The 36 women in this study are incredibly brave. Like all of us, really, when we want to find it, it's there. And Rochelle, your clients are so fortunate to have someone in their corner who helps fight for them to find their bravery. So,
yeah, it gives me hope, and I like being in the business of hope.
Amen to that, right? Yeah. Well, I hope you have a great day. Thanks again for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks to our listeners for listening, tuning in. Hey, Rael?